Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Coronavirus and the Independent Retailer podcast, episode number 44. Can you believe it? 44. I'm your host, Bob Nagan. And before we begin, how about this? How about congratulate yourself? You know, we're one day closer to whatever is going to become. And the fact that you're here listening to me, and this isn't about me, I want to be very clear about that, tells me that you are interested in becoming what you need to become to be successful in whatever is to become. Am I right? You know, we're all in this and we're all just trying to figure it out and being proactive about getting your head around what's happening and what you can do, getting out there and hustle. All of these are the behaviors that lead to the kind of person that's going to be successful because it is changing. It's changing every day. We talk about AAA, assess, adjust, advance. It's changing every single day. And the better equipped you are to adjust, the better off you're going to be when you advance. So I just wanted to give a little shout out to you for being here. Not because I'm so smart, but because I'm not, but because you're doing the work, you're putting the information into your head, you're putting the inspiration in your head, and you're moving forward. So today we're going to talk about dealing with angry customers. And I don't have all the answers because it really is no right answer. I mean, before pre-pandemic, we had a whole customer service. Well, there's a whole customer service module in the retail mastery system. And we go through, how do you deal with angry customers? And it was pretty straightforward. We have a process that works, but this is different. Here in Michigan, somebody came into a dollar store, I think it's Dollar General. They wouldn't serve him because he wouldn't put on a mask, and he came back with, or it was a she, came back with her husband and son, and they shot the security guard dead. Just today there was a story posted on our Whiz Bang Retailers Facebook page about an ice cream store who just shut down. Like, I'm not dealing with this bullshit. And so I think that between the stress of the quarantine and what's happening with people asserting their right to not wear masks or behave the way that they want to behave, or some people here in the state of Michigan, people are bringing long guns to protests around the lockdown, and it's getting crazy, it's getting nasty, it's not good. And we need to talk about how we're going to deal with it. And again, this isn't a definitive answer. This is just me thinking out loud and hopefully helping you think about what you're going to do. Two things to start with, two overarching points. One is something that my late father drove into me, said it all the time, and it is this: act, don't react. When you are reacting, the other person controls the situation. That is how things escalate. So what you need to do is be in control of yourself. Act, don't react. The second thing, and I think this is even more important, is to recognize your responsibility. And it is a deep, deep, real responsibility. And that is your responsibility to keep yourself, your team, and your customers safe. I really don't give a shit about what people believe about the virus. If you're a conspiracy theorist, maybe it's time for you to quit watching this podcast. But I'm looking at you and saying, I believe the coronavirus is real. I believe it's dangerous. And I believe that as human beings, as good human beings, we have a responsibility to the safety of the people who are under our wing, our employees in particular. And so be a good human being. Safety first. Don't sacrifice the safety of your employees and your customers for the dollar. Yes, we all need dollars. Yes, we all need to do business. But first and foremost, we need to recognize that we're in this together and we all need to remain safe. Because that person who if you're lax, it may cost somebody their lives. So act, don't react, be a good human being. So now let's talk about it and take it down a step. Let's think about it a little more. And by the way, I almost always go through and read your comments. So if you've got, a perspective, I'd love to hear about it. But the first thing, and I think that this is, next to the two main points, I think it's so important that we approach everyone right now with a real sense of empathy. I did a Real Retail TV about Sonder. We talked about it here on the podcast. But Sonder is a term that expresses and recognizes that everybody has an inner life. Everybody's got stuff going on that you don't know about, you can't see. And to them, their life experience is just as real, maybe more real than what you're going on, what's going on inside you. So rather than, and this is why it's important to act, not react, because if you're reacting to a customer, really you might be reacting to all the stresses that they're feeling at home. Think about all the suffering that is happening in the world right now, all the tension that is being played out in homes, in businesses, in your business. We're all just trying to stay alive. We're all trying to move forward. We're all trying to be positive, but sometimes it's difficult being positive. Everybody has a snapping point. You don't know how close you are to that. So being empathetic is so, 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 so important. Be a good human being. Recognize that everybody is going through their own shit right now. So, again, going back to this act, don't react. And the next thing is my note is focus on your response, not on their behavior. Focus on your response, their behavior. You have the responsibility to control yourself. So now let's talk about how, these are just a couple of tips to de-escalate. Because really, okay, there's a confrontation. You have an angry customer. They don't want to wear a mask. You have decided that in your store, people must wear masks. So the first thing to do is as part of this empathy, is this whole idea of active listening. Listening with your hands, heart, eyes, ear, and mind. I haven't done that since I shot the Retail Sales Academy. Anyway, but active listening, really try to understand what that person is really asking. What are they really feeling? Are they angry because they can't wear a mask in your store? Are they angry because they're having problems with their children at home? So just becoming calm and really, really listening, okay, so, and showing empathy, tone and body language. When we talk about active listening, how you listen will have a huge impact on how the angry person reacts. So somebody comes in and they're angry at you because your policy is they need to wear a mask. If you get like that, it's just going to escalate. If you get like this, it's going to de-escalate. If you look them in the eye and you are calm, it's going to de-escalate. Now, this is where active listening comes in. And, if your policy is they have to wear masks, say, it might be something along the, what do I say? Part of maybe one of the first questions is to understand whether they want to shop or whether they just want to make a point. A lot of people not wearing masks is really a protest against what they feel is government intrusion, stomping on their constitutional right. So, you might want to say, can I help you shop? And they say, well, I need this. I just don't want to wear a mask. Great. Then you give them options, right? Great. I'll tell you what. Why don't we do this? You go out into the car. We'll FaceTime each other. I'll shop for you. And then I'll bring it out into the car. You don't have to wear a mask and you can get your shopping done. Just as an aside, one of the things that I have read recently is a lot of people really, really panic under masks. So it may not be that they're angry that their constitutional rights are being trampled on. It may be that they just get claustrophobia under a mask. So, or it could be, so ask them questions and give them options. And the more good questions you ask, so what can I help you with? What can we do to get your shopping done? So we're really in the process of trying to give them options to let them tell you what you need to do. But now, really what you're doing when you're de-escalating by changing your body language, by showing them empathy, by asking lots of questions, by giving them options, is you are getting them on your team. So much of handling complaints is about co-opting the person who is complaining. Getting them, when they feel you are on their team, they are going to de-escalate. So giving them options, asking them questions, showing them empathy, being on their team, trying to solve their problem. Now, suppose you do this correctly, and really, this is just an angry person who doesn't want to be told they have to wear a mask. It is your firm policy that they have to wear a mask. Now it comes to another phase of this problem. And it may be that you have to call the police. So what I'm encouraging you to do is right now is probably not a good time to leave an employee in the store by themselves. It may be that you want to have yourself and an employee, or even yourself. It becomes a little frightening. But assuming that you have more than one person in the store, you should create a buzzword, and then that buzzword is a signal that the police need to be called. Because if you say to somebody, Sammy, go call the cops, that will just escalate it even farther. But if you say, Aunt Jemima pancakes with syrup, you find one that's right for you. It needs to be logical. Then the other person goes in the back, calls the police, calls 911, and that's how it happens. You might also want to have keys accessible. That if somebody is angry and goes out to their car in a fit of anger, that you have keys right very, very near so that you can lock the front door or your teams can lock the front door. So these are just my thoughts. And I'm asking you to create your own plan. I'll share, and I've shared it a couple times in the last couple days because I think it's a great way of being thoughtful. But Platinum Mastermind Group member Morgan Harris sat down and wrote a vision for what the next 3 months were going to look like. What does it look like? And when she sat there and thought about her reopening, it caused her to recognize what would happen if this happened? What could happen? What will I do if this happens? And she really created a plan that has 3 phases. And in the first phase of the plan, it is shop by appointment only. And the door is locked when shoppers are in the store. And when they call for the appointment, she makes it very clear what the safety protocol is. And part of the safety protocol is that they wear masks. If they don't want to wear masks, she'll do curbside pickup and all of those things. But she makes it clear that if they're going to come into the store, the first thing they're going to do is go wash their hands. They're going to put on masks. And this is the way it handled. And the door is locked. And then and she's charging $20 for an appointment applied to the purchase. She's putting her toes in it, and that may be a wise thing for some of you. Oklahoma City is really, really, there is a lot of, there's a lot of protests. There's a lot of deep feeling that making people wear masks violates constitutional rights. She's very clear that if you're going to be in her store, you're going to wear a mask. So she created a program and a process that is 3 phases to open up. What she's doing is she's letting herself get a feel for how it's going to work, what's working and what's not working, and what she can change. And that's the final thing that I want to say to you. So I hope that this gave you some idea of how to think about how to deal with angry people. But here's what I also want you to do. I want you to do like Morgan did. And Morgan talked to her employees for a long time before she put together this plan. And the ADD method is incredibly important here. If you've been following this podcast or been following us for any amount of time, you know that we've created this way of looking at making decisions, and it's called ADD, and it's called Ask, Discuss, Decide. And you ask your employees, what should we do to make sure that everyone is as safe as possible? What are our policies and procedures? What do we do when this happens? What do we do when that happens? So get your employees involved and build that. That's the ask. What should we do? The D is a discussion, and then the last D is a decision. So when you get your employees involved with creating your safety protocols or your procedures for dealing with angry customers, they're going to understand it more deeply because they've been part of the process of creating it. You know, the whole ADD method is really all about tapping into your employees, their knowledge, their wisdom, their insights. But in this case, the ADD method is a way for you to tap into their fears, to know how they're feeling. And that's really, really important when you start building the safety protocols for your store, when you start dealing with angry customers. And so the final thing that I want to share is when you come up with this plan, script your responses. Don't leave it up to your teenage team members or your young adults or your older adults. Don't leave it up to your employees to figure out what to say. Together with your team, ADD, script it out. When this happens, we're going to say that. When that happens, we're going to say or do this. When that happens, Aunt Jemima pancakes with syrup. We're going to call the cops. Script it out and role play. Do everything you can to make sure that your team members are as prepared as they possibly can. You know, I think that 99.9% of all of these incidents will blow over. You know, I really think that, you know, the Dollar General here in Michigan is an aberration. But what happened with the ice cream store is sad. But I've also heard so many stories about gracious customers and wonderful people and the great experience they're having coming back into your stores. So make sure that you look for the good and that you look at the good, but that you are prepared for the bad. Crazy times we're living in, ladies and gentlemen. Crazy times. Now, but it's just so important that we're thoughtful in our response to the craziness. So, one more thing. Tomorrow is the last day. I told you I'm going to stay on you about the add-on masterclass. Well, that's what I'm doing right now. Tomorrow's the last day to get it for half price. Now, The add-on masterclass is really like a money machine, right? You put $47 into the coffers here at Whiz Bang Training, and we'll give you something that'll just keep making money, 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 money. It's like having a machine where you put in $1, and every time you pull the handle, $4 come out. How many dollars do you keep putting in? That's how we look at education. You're looking for education that's going to make you a lot of money. It's called a positive return on your investment. And tomorrow's the last day. We're super, super excited about it. We're super proud of it. And if you've been watching this podcast and you think I know what I'm talking about, if you think I know retail, Susan and I know retail, I can tell you that you will not be disappointed with the add-on masterclass. And if you are, there's an unconditional money back guarantee. So anyway, tomorrow's the last day, but why wait till tomorrow? Do it right now. So happy Thursday, everybody. Tomorrow will be Friday, which will be episode 45. Oh my goodness. We're rocking this thing. Have a great, great, great day today. Stay positive. Love your customers. The money will follow. We'll see you tomorrow.